Well, hello, and welcome to Curless Mania, where we talk all things pop, rock, and prog.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
man, I got another episode coming at you right now, and I got another very special guest. I met this gentleman when we did we were doing an episode for the Prog Corner, which is another great channel with Scott Lade, and you're on there a lot, right, Cody?
I have been fortunate enough to be on there tons of times. Yes.
Yeah, so he's on there quite a bit, and man, he knows his stuff, and we hit it off. And I just said, "Hey, man, do you want to jump over to my channel and do a quick episode?" And he was like, "Sure, man."
Anytime. Anytime.
He's like, "Talk
I'm
music, twist my arm."
especially
So
talking about what we're talking about today.
yeah. Oh God, yeah, absolutely. So before I forget to say, obviously his name is Cody. Check out his channel. It's called Brockway's Vinyl Bytes. Excellent channel. He also, I gotta mention, he owns a record store in his hometown. Uh,
Yes.
and that is just so cool because I'm a devotee of record stores, and if I can find an independent record store, I will go to it anywhere. So
Well, myself, speaking on behalf of myself and all the other local record store, sort of mom and pop shops, much appreciated. Big appreciation to you for that. Thank you. We're Second Chance Records. I hope you don't mind if I just
no, please. I was going to say, what's the name of it? Yeah.
So we're Second Chance Records. We're here in Canada. We are located in Caledonia, Ontario. The address is 20 Argyle Street North, uh, Caledonia, Ontario, Canada, of course.
Nice. Yeah.
Our website, yeah, you can follow us on Facebook at Second Chance Records, TikTok, all that fun stuff. We do ship globally. So just go to secondchancerecords.ca on the interwebs here and boom.
Just get on the Googles, get on the internets, start typing in like, Deep Purple, made in Europe, looking for that, whatever.
Yeah.
And
Machine Head.
Machine Head, whatever you want, he'll ship it to you. So check it
Oh
out.
yeah. I might even ship myself. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just jump in a
No,
box, tape it up, and send me over.
no, but it's so cool. I'm so happy you're doing that because I know it's like a labor of love for you. And I think independent record stores are the bomb. So I just think what you're doing is so cool. And like I said, literally I will seek out record stores wherever I am. So if you're in Canada, come on. It's like you got to check it out.
I appreciate that. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Much
Well,
thanks.
absolutely. Well, we are here to talk about one of the forebearers of heavy metal. I don't know if they'd be happy to hear that, but they're one of the big three. Always, when you think early metal or early hard rock, you always think of Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and of course Deep Purple. For me, those are the
Yeah,
three that those are like the three monoliths of like of early heavy rock slash metal, whatever you
absolutely.
call it. So, In Rock came out in 1970 for God's sakes, right? So, it was early. And that was, you still listen to In Rock, it still sounds really heavy, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
it's like crazy. It's, Flight of the Rat and all those songs. You're like, oh my God, this is so early and it's so killer. Um, so we are here. I'm getting off on tangents already. We are here to talk about two records, and Cody can hold them up because I can't find my Stormbringer. So we are here to face off Deep Purple's Burn versus Stormbringer. I believe they're both 1974. Is that correct?
close. Burn came out 74. Stormbringer came out 75.
Okay. Okay. So it did come out in 75. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Got
but
it.
not far into 75. Like
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So, so this is going to be we're talking about albums that don't get talked about a lot, right? So you always hear about In Rock, you always hear about Machine Head, you always hear about the reunion record, you always hear about, there's a lot of albums that you hear about constantly. And even Fireball gets talked about a lot. But you don't hear people talking about Mach 3 as much. Of course, Burn does get talked about, but Mach 3 generally doesn't get talked about as much. Um, And I always say it's Mach 3 because people mess up and say it's Mach 2. It's actually Mach 3 because, obviously Deep Purple started in 1968 with the original lineup, which was more of like a vanilla fudge, kind of
Yeah.
creamish, like psychedelic rock, would you say? Is that right? Would you say that?
Kind of, yeah, it was still heavy, but it was very bluesy. It was very I don't know, kind of psyche a little bit. They were doing like long versions of Beatles songs and things like that. And
Yeah.
I don't know if psych is necessarily the right word for it, but it was good stuff. But they hadn't really found their like, they hadn't really found their sound yet.
Yeah.
They were still searching for the sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Book of Taliesin and Deep Purple, self-titled, and what
Good
was it?
records, but
Shades of Deep Purple. They're good. They're good albums.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
they're good records, but they're definitely different because Rod was a different type of singer. Um,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
And
uh,
Ian coming in just kind of just blew up the whole everything, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So the two bass player and the singer both leave for the first version of Deep Purple. They made like, what was it, 3 or 4 records? I think it was three. Um, and then they needed to replace the singer and the bass player. So um, in comes Ian Gillan on vocals, who had
Yeah.
actually done, which I didn't know this. He was in the lead in Jesus Christ Superstar for a while.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. I think that's how John Lord got to know him. I'm not entirely sure about that, but yeah.
okay. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so he had some exposure, and then Roger Glover on bass.
Oh yeah.
And that crystallized into Mach 2, which is really considered the classic rock lineup. I mean, they go in, and Richie Blackmore says after they did a concerto or orchestra concerto or something with John Lord, that was John Lord's thing. He wanted to do something with strings because that was hot at the time. And then it was actually fairly successful, but Richie Blackmore was like, "Hey man, I really want to get heavy. I want to crank the guitars up, and I want to do a heavy rock because that's what's coming in." And sure enough, they jump into the studio with, I believe it's Martin Birch. Did he do In
Yeah.
Rock? Yeah.
Um, I believe so. I can find out in like 2 seconds by pulling
Okay.
out my record.
Yeah, go for it. I think it's Martin Birch. So 1970, we were just talking about how heavy it was, and they just did like one of the touchstones of hard rock, called In Rock, and it's just unbelievable. Um, Still to this day, people are blown away by it. Um,
This is produced by the band.
oh, okay. All right,
No
never
Martin
mind.
Birch.
I'm wrong.
Martin Birch. Martin Birch would come on for Machine Head.
Machine.
Or
Okay, got it.
Who Do We Think We Are? Machine Head. Those records.
Got it. Got it. So yeah, so they do that record. It does very well, and it gets them a lot of attention. They go on to do Fireball the next year, and then Machine Head hits, which is like another one, an absolute classic. And they go to Montreux, Switzerland, and record in a hotel with a mobile. And man, that album is just so killer. And then they end up doing another album called Who Do We Think We Are. But by this point, the band is starting to splinter because they've been working so hard. I mean, that band did not stop. They would do album tour, album tour, album tour. They were going to Japan, they were going to Europe, they were going to America, they were all over the place. I think they were just exhausted, and just getting on each other's nerves. They probably needed a break. But the manager was like, "Hey man, no, we're rolling. We got money. Let's go. We're making money. Come on, make another album. Let's go." And
Yeah.
I think it just blew them out. They were exhausted, and they started fighting, especially Gillan and Richie
Blackmore. Yeah.
Blackmore. Yeah, those two were kind of like this, and over control. Who knows? Control, artistic direction. Who knows? But they were. I have the feeling that Richie Blackmore's a genius on guitar, but I think he's a little harder to get along with. But that's just my speculation.
Oh yeah. When
However,
Ronnie Dio says the same thing, you know.
yeah, yeah. If Dio's a nice guy too. If he says it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
legit.
yeah, absolutely. So anyway, so yeah, so then what happens is, at the end of that record, I think they toured for a little bit, and then Gillan said, "I'm leaving. I'm out," and he bailed. And then for some reason, Richie Blackmore said, "Well, if Gillan's leaving, then Roger Glover also needs to leave." for some reason to get a clean slate. I'm not quite sure why that was, but he decided that's what was going to happen. So it was like, okay, Roger Glover's like, okay, I thought I was playing well, but all right. And he leaves, and then so then they have to find new people, and they had toured with a band called Trapeze, and in that band was this awesome bass player and awesome vocalist that they kept noticing, like, wow, that guy's amazing. And that, of course, was Glenn Hughes, and he ended up, long story short, ended up jumping into the band on bass and vocals. They considered being a four-piece for like 5 minutes, and then they went, no, we need like another vocal. So they found an unknown at that time, David Coverdale. Um, I,
Yeah,
I believe so, right? He was an unknown guy at that point.
yeah, yeah. That's something
Yeah,
like he responded to an ad in the Melody Maker or something like that, right? It's
yeah,
something to that degree. I
yeah.
love David Coverdale. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, I mean, what a find. I mean, that guy's just unbelievable, right? It's like, what a find to find an awesome lead singer like that is just unreal. So that brings us to date. That brings us, I try to keep it as quick as possible with the history. It's hard, but that's the basic history of Deep Purple up into Burn, which is 1974. So they really feel like they have a new band and something to prove. And so with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Cody for your impressions of 1974's Burn.
Well, um, wow. Well, I put this on last night in preparation for today, and I was totally blown away. It had been a while since I played this, but you know what? Ian Pace is playing like he's trying to save his life on this record, on Burn. It is one of their heaviest albums. They had they always had a groove. Deep Purple were always one of the grooviest bands, especially live. You know, they'd take Space Truckin' and put it out to 25 minutes. Talk about jam band, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but this is like they would kind of with the Glenn Hughes era, they would kind of go towards this more funk direction, but this was still very much like heavy rock, heavy metal. And you can hear, like, I don't know, Burn starts off the album. Might just yeah, and Ian Pace just going crazy. Oh, that's a nice copy. Is that one of the colored vinyl editions or?
No, it's not actually. It's not. I wish it was, but it's been pretty decent shape. I found it in pretty good shape.
So that's an original.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I think so.
Wow, mine is the nicer one went to the store. This
Oh,
one is a
really?
bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
This one has seen a bit this has just been around.
Yeah. You have to, like you said, you have to think about the store, man. You have to, it's not just all selfish. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah.
It plays good though. Like it doesn't skip or anything like that, so it's good, you know.
Yeah. What is that sticker? Looks beat, plays great.
It, it says Mike Arnold.
Oh,
I
does it?
don't know who the hell that is, but
Well,
oh well.
thanks, Mike. Thank you for the copy of Burn. Appreciate it.
Most of my records are in mint condition. But this is just kind of one of those that I just had for a long time. I think I even got this actually before I owned the store. This is how long I've had this. And
Wow.
but the store has a really nice copy, of course, right?
Oh, of course.
um, but yeah, I mean, just the
What a cool
cover.
cover, right? I love the cover.
It's a great cover with all
Yeah.
of like the little candle guys and the candles are burning on the back with their pictures above. Yeah, I
Hmm.
don't think mine has that. Maybe it does. Oh, it does.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Got the lyrics. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. But I was playing the CD last night, and I just think this record is a really solid album. Is it the best one? No, but it's very solid, and it's very rock hard all the way through.
Yeah.
Even with the
Yeah.
slower grooves of "Might Just Take Your Life," it really is a good contrast to the first song. "Lay Down, Stay Down." Ian Pace once again just comes out swinging, and the riffs of Blackmore. You know, it's like it's kind of like it was a new band, even though it obviously still sounds like Deep Purple. And I find it's the same with Yes when John Anderson and Rick Wakeman both left. Something happens to the chemistry of the people in the band, and so when they get these new guys in, it's like, okay, we got something to prove here. We got to make up for the loss. And but these talented guys definitely definitely do that just fine with this record. David Coverdale, a hell of a singer. Glenn Hughes, obviously, and the stuff that he can sing and play at the same time is just unbelievable. I mean, love
Yeah,
Roger Glover. Love Roger Glover. Obviously, he would come back, not just to Deep Purple, but he actually joined Rainbow for a bit after
right.
Richie left.
Hmm.
And that's a weird thing, eh? You know, Richie kicks him out of Deep Purple and then brings him into Rainbow. I don't know. Hey,
Yeah,
whatever.
who knows?
But yeah, just a solid record. I mean, Mistreated. There's a
Oh,
version of that um, with Ronnie James Dio singing it on Rainbow on stage, and it's just awesome. Burn is still a part of the Whitesnake sets because you know after Deep Purple sort of dissolved in the 70s, David Coverdale went and took you know half of Deep Purple, what was left, and made Whitesnake with them, right?
right,
And
right.
obviously changed lineups 200 times, but
Just like Deep Purple.
just like Deep Purple. But
Yeah,
he's still, if you go see Whitesnake, there you're likely to hear at least Stormbringer or something. We'll talk about Stormbringer in a little bit, but
yeah,
you're going to hear some Purple songs. You know,
right.
like maybe Might Just Take Your Life, or it's going to be mostly Whitesnake, but he throws in always at least one Purple tune, Soldier of Fortune or something like that. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
I love Burn, and it's one of my top Deep Purple albums. It's not my number one, but it's pretty freaking awesome. And for you know, for them to lose Ian Gillan and come back with Glenn Hughes, and it takes two guys to replace Ian Gillan,
Yes. Yep.
but these two
Yep.
guys are no slouches at all.
No, they're not. They're not at all. I mean, just like Steve Marriott said when the Faces formed, he said, "Oh, it took two of you to replace me, huh?" Because they had to get Ron Wood and Rod Stewart to replace him.
Yeah, there you go.
So, so, but Gillan, I mean, I mean, Gillan's one of the best rock singers there are ever. I mean, it's like, how do you replace Ian Gillan? Um, you know,
I
uh,
know.
but
You'd think it was unthinkable, right?
yeah, so, but
It,
they did
it
it. They pulled it off.
yeah, they absolutely did.
Yeah, yeah, and
That was after the split.
that's my impression of Burn as well. Just so strong. I mean, just a strong album. And like you said, Ian Pace playing, I mean, out of his mind. I mean, just listen to the title track alone. I mean, he's
I
like
know.
he almost soloing the whole time. I mean, you're like, oh my God, he's just like not, I mean, that whole like, I mean, what a killer riff, first of all, right? That whole
Yeah, no, it's killer.
you know, it's so killer.
I should do a drum cover of that. Every so often, I post up drum covers on Brockway's Vinyl Bytes, and I should do Burn because that's a fun one to play, and I love
Oh
playing
God,
that tune.
so killer.
I forgot how good the drumming was on Lay Down, Stay Down.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, like the title track, he's kicking ass and taking names. Sorry, I had to use the word, but
No,
he's
it's
kicking ass
true.
and taking names. You know, he is he is taking no prisoners, man.
No, he's not. He's not. And the thing that's so cool about Ian Pace, because he was one of my favorite early, like, because you're a drummer too. It's like he was one of my first like wow like drummers, and because I started as a drummer too, and it's like he's killing it, but he's also swinging. It's like that's the thing about Ian Pace is like he's doing all this stuff and he's doing all these fills, but it's still swinging. You know,
Yeah,
like I don't know how to
never falls
describe it.
out of time.
Yeah, it's just so that's what's the genius of Ian Pace, and that's why he never got kicked out of the band because it was such a huge part of it. Um,
And he does it backwards. He's left-handed.
oh, that's right. That's right. I always
Like
forget
Phil
that.
Collins. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Wow. But yeah, the title track is just incendiary. I mean, that's just like what a way to start. I mean, you can tell they're coming out of the gate swinging because they're like they knew that people were like, "Oh man, how are you going to replace those guys?" And this isn't going to be the same band. And they're like, "Oh yeah, watch this." And that first track, you're like, "Okay, I'm sold." Like just after the track one, but like you said, it keeps going. Might just take your life. Great track. Love that. Love that. Just take your life. I mean, that whole like, just those
yeah.
really high vocals from Glenn Hughes. It's just, oh.
Yeah, that album thumps all the way through. Like there's not a sleeper moment. Even
Yeah,
A200, as kind of out of left field that it is, it's still like, okay, this is cool. Like an early use of synthesizer. I bet sitting down and listening to this record in 1974 and being a Deep Purple fan and hearing A200, I bet most people hadn't really heard synths used in such a way at that point. Just to
yeah,
guess, my
yeah.
my
Oh
heart.
God, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that would be A200 is the only sort of outlier on the record, right? That's like the only, and it's the last song. So it's kind of like, okay, it's all right. I can deal with that. But some people don't like love A200. I think it's pretty cool. It's a cool, and it's the last song. So I mean, you've been rocking out for like, whatever, 8 tracks in a row. It's like, okay, I can chill for a minute. It's okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I mean, but that first side of burn might just take your life, lay down, stay down, and sail away. I mean, like you said, sail away is a slower tune, but it's still really like groovy and rocks. Like it's still that it's a cool, really deep, like doom doom ding doom doom ding it's just a cool groove.
Yeah, that's where they start to sort of where they start showing inklings of where they're going to go on Stormbringer with the sort
Exactly.
of more funk R&B side of Glenn Hughes and stuff, right? But
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
great.
when Glenn Hughes starts doing his soul man thing a little bit, that
Yeah.
sail away tomorrow. It's like that
Yeah.
whole like he's trying to it's like it's that kind of thing. And then the whole then it comes out side two comes out with that You Fool No One, which is like another just all out rocker. Starts out with that with where the cowbell and then it's like it's so killer. And then what's going on here? Another awesome rocker. And then Mistreated is like a slow burner that, like you said, stayed in their live set forever, never left.
That's kind of like
You
it's kind of
know?
like a Zeppelin song,
Yeah, yeah.
Mistreated.
Mistreated.
Kind of
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Kind of. It has a Zeppelin vibe to it for sure. Like those like the slow burns that Zeppelin would do. Yeah,
Yeah, like Since I've Been Loving You or something like that, right? I mean, not that
yeah,
the songs actually sound the same, but it's got that slow bluesy sort of feel to it, right? And
yeah,
it's 7 minutes, just like the Zeppelin song. So hey,
yeah. No, that's a
it's
great thought.
prog, right?
That's a great thought. You're right. I mean, it's very Zeppelin-y, in that sort of slow blues thing that they do. Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I'm really high on Burn, man. I love Burn. So that's my
Yeah.
that's that's my take. So what's your take on next year's Stormbringer, 1975?
Stormbringer, I love it too. I love both of these albums. I probably should have prefaced this video by saying I love both of these records, but um, Burn, Burn and Stormbringer are quite different. Um, Again, with Stormbringer, it's a solid album all the way through. There's no dud tracks. It's all really enjoyable, but it definitely is a different approach in a sense. This is where they're kind of going, okay, more towards the funk and R&B side of the sound, and that's great. And
Yes.
that's great. And obviously, it starts and ends on two of my all-time favorite songs. So
Yes.
it starts on Stormbringer, ends on Soldier of Fortune. Now, I want to take a moment here. I don't know who might be watching this that isn't Opeth fan, but Opeth does a stellar cover of Soldier of Fortune on the deluxe version of Ghost Reveries. You can
Okay.
find that cover anywhere here on the interwebs. It is absolutely, you will get chills listening to it. It is probably as good as the original version. I have to say,
Really?
it's
Wow.
very good.
Okay.
Love Don't Mean a Thing. I love the song. That's all out R&B groove funk, but I love it. Just the
Yeah.
trade off
Yeah.
vocals between Glenn and Dave, and they both just the vocals in that, just the two of them, just yeah, it's chill inducing. It is so good.
Yeah. Just the vocals. Yeah.
Holy Man, unbelievable. Holy Man, just what a beautiful Glenn Hughes track. Lady Double Dealer, that's one that, I don't think that I don't know if Rainbow ever did that, but they definitely Deep Purple still while they were doing, because they were still doing big shows at the time. Like they were still riding that huge wave. They were doing Cal Jam and all these big shows of the mid 70s. And so there's great live versions of that out there. Even with Tommy Bolin, who would come in for the next record. Uh, I think they were still doing Lady Double Dealer and stuff
Oh,
like that
were
in the
they?
set.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but I think
It
so.
makes sense. It would make sense.
Stormbringer, obviously, just the title track,
Oh,
just
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I saw a cover. This is Covers Day here now, apparently. David Covers Day. There we go.
Yeah.
Um, I saw a version of this on YouTube, and that vocalist Dino Jalusic, he's singing for the band Whom Gods Destroy Now, and
Mhm.
there's a version of him just tearing apart Stormbringer on the interwebs. This is before Whom Gods Destroy, so he was pretty kind of unknown, and
Oh,
now
okay.
now he's in the band with Bumblefoot and Derek Sherinian and stuff. And
Right. Right.
but this is where my dad was like, you gotta, my dad's big music fan, obviously was a musician in the 80s and stuff.
Right.
um and he's like, you gotta check this out. And so he played me this cover of I forget who the drummer was. The drummer was great. It was like one of those like collabs that like people were doing during the pandemic.
During
Like,
COVID. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And Dino just tearing up the vocals on that. And so he has a very, when you listen to Whom Gods Destroy, you can hear, I can hear the Coverdale influence on this.
Oh,
And so
interesting. Yeah.
these albums, both of them proved to be very influential, for many years to come, and still to this day.
Hmm.
So Stormbringer, I think Burn kind of edges it out for me personally, but
Right.
I still think Stormbringer is pretty solid all the way through, even though it's a different approach. But hey, it's still Deep Purple and it still rocks. It grooves and it rocks, and that's what they're all about. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Stormbringer's underrated. Nobody talks about Stormbringer. And it's, I mean, I would say that, it's funny because Stormbringer definitely has a few tracks that really, really head into to the soul, R&B
yeah,
vibe. Um, and like Stormbringer kicks it off, and you're like, "Oh, this is going to be like another Burn. Here we go." And then, and because I love this, I love the title track, Stormbringer. That whole like, and that's really when you feel like Coverdale coming into his own, where he's like, "Stormbringer, come in!" It's like he's really like getting into
oh
it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
That's like the beginning stages of, oh, I don't know what, like Crying in the Rain or something. You know,
exactly.
he gets that rasp and that power, right?
Yes, that crying in the rain, that whole like that
Bow,
whole, yeah,
bow.
yeah. He
I
gets that
love it.
whole Coverdale thing going.
Yeah, I definitely think that he sounds great on Burn too, though. Like, I've been mistreated, but
Yeah,
but
yeah.
even on this album, you see, um, you hear him come out really strong with Stormbringer, but he ends on a very somber note with Soldier of Fortune.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
And
And he
this
kills both of
shows,
them. He kills both of them.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, totally agree. And it shows that he was a man of variety, that he could sing anything. Obviously, Whitesnake, 15 Whitesnake, their big fame was many years after these Deep Purple records.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I'm obviously Whitesnake were, with big with Come and Get It and Slide It In and all those
Slide it
records.
in. Yeah.
But the big 87 record, that was 12 years after Stormbringer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And the man on the street probably didn't know Whitesnake until 87, right? I mean, most average people would be like, "What's Whitesnake?" I mean, if you're a music fan, you knew him, but you know,
Or maybe they would have known him because of Whitesnake and maybe didn't know the Purple stuff.
right.
You
Exactly.
know, because
Yeah.
Whitesnake, like when they came out with the remake of Here I Go Again and that 87 album with Bad Boys and all that, just took off.
That
And
album
then,
was massive. Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm getting chills talking about this, man.
Yeah, good.
This is legit.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. No, it's so true. It's like he really, Slide It In. I remember the first time I really heard Whitesnake and got into him was Slide It In. And I think it was isn't there like a US and a UK version where of
Yeah.
Slide It In and like what's the John Sykes? is just killing it on that record.
John Sykes, yeah, that's weird how they released that. So it was a different guitar player, I think. I think it was a different guitar player on the UK version, and it was
Okay.
John Sykes on the US version, I think.
Oh, I think you're right. I think that's true. Yeah.
I
Or
don't really know why they did that, but record companies will be record companies, right?
yeah, yeah. And from what I heard, it took forever. Again, this is you can help me out. I'm not huge on this, but as far as like my knowledge, but I believe that the 87 record took a really long time to make. For various reasons. And like I guess like Coverdale was having vocal issues and I guess Sykes was like, "What's going on? Are we making an album? What's happening?" And he was getting like uptight about it and because like Sykes was gone by the time the album was released, right?
Yeah, then they brought in Steve Vai.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think yeah, but he's John Sykes is on the album,
yeah. He's on the record, right?
and you would if David Coverdale was having vocal issues, you'd never know it by listening to that thing.
No, no, you wouldn't.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, no. He plays. He's awesome on that album. There's no question. He's really good on it.
I think he's a tremendous singer, and even like latter day Whitesnake albums, like "Still Good to Be Bad," and like from like later in the 2000s, I think he still sounds amazing on those records.
Yeah,
I'm a Coverdale fan.
he's a consummate singer, man. He's a hard rock. He's like one of the guys,
Yeah,
question.
absolutely.
Yeah. So Stormbringer for me is, it's not I for me it's tough. Like I kind of like it's funny. The more I listened to this album a lot in preparation for this. And I Love Don't Mean a Thing I like quite a bit. Holy Man I don't love as much as you do. I think it's okay. Hold On is like okay. So like the first side kind of goes down a bit for me as it goes because it's getting a little too R&B-ish just for me personally.
Yeah, I
And
feel
then
you.
but then side 2 kicks in again with Lady Double Dealer, which I love. And then Highball Shooter's another great track. And even actually You Can't Do It Right is I like that's sort of an R&B one that I do like quite a bit. And then the Gypsy and Soldier of Fortune. So the side 2 actually is for me is a little even maybe possibly stronger than side 1 besides the title track.
I
Um
feel you.
so that's just my opinion. I think side 2 feels almost stronger at times for some reason. But but yeah, that's my take on Stormbringer. I mean, I enjoy it. When I listen to it, I enjoy listening to it.
Yeah,
I
me
can
too.
you can definitely feel, like you said, it's really the R&B is coming on strong. And I think that Blackmore was kind of like, yeah, I'm a hard rock guy. Like I can go along with this, but I'm not loving this R&B thing. And
Mhm.
Glenn Hughes was loving it, right? He was into it. And
Oh yeah.
you know, and maybe Coverdale was too, I don't know, but they because they went on to do Come Taste the Band, which is even like almost like with Bolin, it's almost like there's more R&B and there's more jazzy or fusion-ish vibe happening almost because he's in the band. And I think they perfected on Come Taste the Band. I think Come Taste the Band's another great album.
Yeah, I haven't spent as much time with that, but the stuff that I have heard from it was good.
Yeah.
But I need to spend more time with that one in particular. Holy Man, you were mentioning about the song. I do like the track. I understand that it might not be your thing. Absolutely. It is kind of like if you like the Doobie Brothers, this is going to sound weird. If you like the Doobie Brothers, you're probably not very far off with this song. Like early Doobie Brothers, like, Blackwater era and,
Like
China Girl.
Captain and Me and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Doobie Brothers track, a little
Right.
bit. I don't know. Am I far out for saying
That's
that?
no, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to listen to that. I'll listen to it again. You might be right on the money there.
I
Uh
mean, obviously, like it wouldn't work, but it's kind of reminiscent of that style of music that was happening in the 70s. That sort of groovy, more
yeah.
R&B rock based stuff that the Doobie Brothers were doing very well.
Yeah, it's like it's Doobie Brothers were pretty R&B influenced. I mean, then did have some R&B flavored tracks and they were good.
Absolutely.
Doobie Brothers were no joke. They were great musicians and it's funny like even there's parts of I whenever I think of like someone sounding like the Doobie Brothers, I always think of someone mentioned this, and I can never get out of my mind now, is there's part of Caress of Steel, um, that sounds like the Doobie Brother. It's like, the ending section of, one of the longer tracks, the Necromancer, I think.
Oh,
And
okay. I'll have to go back and listen to that again.
take a listen to the end of that. And it does this thing where it's do 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 do, and it's acoustic. It sounds like someone said it sounds like a Doobie Brothers, and it does. It does. Yeah.
I love that. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rush. Yeah, they're probably influenced by the Doobie Brothers. I mean, obviously they were influenced by Yes and Deep Purple. I mean, that's a given
Oh
with
yeah. Oh
their
yeah.
music, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Geddy Lee. I'm gonna jump ship here just for
Oh,
like
go
10
ahead.
seconds.
Go for it. Go for it.
I saw Geddy Lee at a Q&A he did in Oakville here in Ontario, and
Mhm.
at the Oakville Center, and he said Chris Squire was the reason I ever even bought a bass. He said my friend showed me the Time in a Word album, and I said that's it. I went out and bought a Rickenbacker, and the rest is history.
Yeah. 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 He was a Squire guy for sure. No question.
So am I.
Oh, totally. Oh, same here. I still miss Chris. Like, I miss him. Like, he was just what a bass, like my favorite one of I've probably been my favorite bass player, if I'm really honest. If I'm really dig deep, it's like he's probably my favorite bass player. Because he was
Me
the
too.
first time you listen to his Yes, and that Yes was the first time I was like, listen to that bass. Like the first time you really noticed the bass. You know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah, he's my favorite bassist of all time, and I remember when he died, and that was already not an easy time I was kind of going through way back in that day. And him dying was just like, oh man, what else?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
not good. And
Yeah.
Yes, have still he sort of passed on the baton. Well, he tried to pass on the baton to Mr. Billy Sherwood, and I think he's a great bassist too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
back to Purple though.
Anyway, yeah, back to Deep Purple.
Back to Purple. Um, yeah, they always had great bass players, this band.
Oh
Deep
yeah.
Purple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like you said, Glenn Hughes, come on. I mean,
And Roger Glover. I think
yeah.
Roger Glover is great. And Glenn Hughes, what did he do after Deep Purple? I know he still goes out and plays Purple songs now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, he still plays a lot. He still plays. I mean, the problem with Glenn Hughes is that he really got sidetracked with drugs. I mean, thank God he
yeah,
survived it. But like Bolin didn't survive it. But thank God Glenn Hughes hung in there. And so he, unfortunately, after Purple, he really got sidetracked for a while and was like
yeah,
doing stuff, but it was like not. I don't know. It wasn't for. He just was gone for a while because he
yeah.
couldn't
Drugs
hack.
will do that.
Yeah,
Because yeah, not to preach, but stay clean, kids.
that's right. Don't do drugs, kids. Uh, but no, but he did a lot of stuff. I mean, then when he recovered, he started playing more and more and more. And really, by all accounts, I can't remember the name of his band now. I should know it. It's like anyway, I can't think of it. But he's got a band now that by all accounts, he sounds fantastic, and he's still playing great. So there
You
you
know
go.
what? He is like Steven Tyler in that sense, where put yourself through hell and back, but both the guys woke up and fixed themselves, worked on themselves, cleaned up, whatever. And I cannot believe how good they both still sing to this day. I mean,
Yeah,
you would think if pushing 75, Steven Tyler and Glenn Hughes, they both still sing the songs largely in the original keys,
right,
and
right.
there's no BS about it. Like
No
they
backing
still pull it
tracks.
off. No, and they still do it. And for him to go out and sing "Burn" and still do the screams and that he does, right? He still does
Yeah,
that. And
yeah. He still does it.
Steven still goes out and sings "Dream On" and stuff. I just can't. I can't believe I can't sing that good now, let alone at 75.
Yeah,
At 75, that's when things are really changing. And but just for those guys, no matter what hell they put themselves through, nothing changed. Like when
yeah.
they got clean and when they got better and all that, they were just right back on it. They were right back on the ball. And kudos to them, man. Honestly,
Oh
really,
yeah.
hats off.
Oh yeah. And absolutely, man. And part of the fun, I don't know if I mentioned that we were kind of talking about vocals a lot, but part of the really cool thing about Burn and Stormbringer is the back and forth vocals. The sort of like there's times where Coverdale will sing a verse and then Hughes will sing the chorus or vice versa, or like the whole like Burn where he's like, we have no time. It's like,
Yeah.
and it just all of a sudden there's another singer, like somebody else is singing now. It's really cool sort of back and forth thing.
And the live versions, we got to talk about the live versions of some of these tunes. Killer.
Oh
Killer.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like there's footage, there's live CDs out, even I think, of them doing, like I said before, like the Cal Jam shows and things like that, where they're doing Burn. And
Mhm.
obviously Made in Europe is kind of,
Yeah.
most people recognize Made in Japan, but there is Made in Europe, and it's
Yep.
really good.
Awesome.
And just the footage of them doing Burn and stuff at the time, and Glenn just screaming his guts out. I just
Yeah.
can't believe his vocals. And he was probably only, what, 25, 26 at the time, but still, to be even that age and to be able to wail like that, that's heavy, man.
Yeah, because live he goes even crazier, right? He does the whole like, he goes even nuts crazier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's a version on the interwebs somewhere here on the YouTubes or whatever of Ian Pace. I think Rick Wakeman is involved too, and Bruce Dickinson, and maybe Glenn Hughes, but don't hold me to that. But definitely Bruce Dickinson singing, and they're doing Burn, and it rules. It
yeah.
rules. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna make a list of things like, oh yeah, you got to look up the Opeth cover. Look
Yeah.
up.
That's what we're here for, people. It's a public service. Just like just make sure you're making notes as you watch this video about what the other things you got to watch.
Like,
Um,
oh yes.
so absolutely. What was that again? Oh, Opeth. Okay. And what was it? Oh, YouTube. Okay. But no, it's true. Deep Purple back in the day was a formidable. I mean, their live set was just unbelievable. I mean, they were so good live. They were just unbelievable live. So it's so
Yeah.
even it's one of those bands. Even when you're watching video of it, you're like, I mean, imagine being there. Like if you're blown away watching a video, imagine if you're at the concert. Um,
I know.
yeah.
I
So,
know. And
but
you know what? They're still good, because like Steve Morse picked up sort of when Richie left the band in the 80s.
mhm.
And I'm not as familiar with that period of the band, but I will say that Steve Morse is one hell of a guitar player, and to be able to step in after Blackmore,
Mhm.
you
Oh,
know
yeah.
he's
Props, major props.
big props. And the Dixie Dregs, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that band he was in with Neil Morse and Mike Portnoy, Flying Colors, just amazing stuff. They only did 2 or 3 records together, but he is an outstanding musician, Steve Morse.
Oh God, yeah. No
And
question.
he held down the Deep Purple fort for 35 years.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
hats off to him, man.
good for him. Yeah, no, Perpendicular, is that the first album with him on it, I think? I don't know. That album's really good. I mean, he's a great musician, no question. He wasn't he in
Totally.
Kansas for a second too?
He might have been,
I
but
I don't
the,
know. I can't remember.
the Steve Morse band and Dixie Dregs and Flying Colors, those are, and all of his, he did like 15 albums with Deep Purple, right? So
Yeah, he did a
great
really
stuff.
long stint with Purple. Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to go back and give more attention to some of their more recent albums, because there's some really good stuff there. I just have to dig and check it out. I've heard
Oh, same
singles.
here.
Yeah, I've heard singles from some of their more recent records, but I never went and did the whole release, right? But just
Yeah.
hearing the singles, go, oh, this is really good. I got to check this out, and then just
And then you just always like, yeah, I know I'm the same way. And then I go back to what I was listening to before. It's like, no, I'm the same way. It's like, because I keep, obviously the Bob Ezrin has been producing their most recent records, and they're kind of a different band, but it's really working. Like it's working well.
Mhm.
So those are solid. I mean, it's great to see a band of that vintage still putting out new music and doing it to a high
Absolutely.
level, you know?
I totally agree with you, man. And the same, I got to pull up the CD here.
Okay.
Same when you know musicians are still finding new ways to link up, like I mentioned before, Flying Colors.
Yep.
They come out
Yep.
and they're making new records together. Unbelievable. Support your favorite bands. That's yes, they're still making new music. If you love it or not, I don't know, but Metallica is still making great music. Iron Maiden's still making great music.
Yeah.
Rush was making great music up until they couldn't physically do anymore.
Yeah. Right.
So like
Exactly.
we were talking about David Gilmour before the stream started. He's got a new record coming out, so
He's
it's
coming
kind of
out with
like,
a new album. Yep.
yeah, you got to support your favorite bands. Hey, maybe they're not in their prime anymore, but they're most likely still making great records. Usually they are.
Yeah. You just gotta give it a chance. Some people just turn off. They're like, I'm done. And it's like, come on, man. Like you just put out an album, check it out. If you liked him back then, you probably like him now too. It's like, so yeah, no, I'm with you. That's very important. And especially now with music the way it is, it's important to support your artists that you like. Um
Exactly.
so anyway, so back to this whole battle thing. So if it comes down to, I always have to come to the moment of truth. If it comes down to it, you have to pick one or the other. Which one are you going with?
Well, it's kind of like a question that you have to say, do either of these suck? No,
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 no way.
not at all.
No.
But Burn for me has a different edge than Stormbringer does. Stormbringer, while still being very closely tied to Burn, it is sort of a different approach, a good approach, but a
Mhm.
different one.
Right.
But I love both albums. They're
Mhm.
almost neck and neck, but Burn edges it out a little bit for me.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say as well, I'm going with Burn as well. So my winner is Burn. It does have an urgency, like you're saying, that there's something about this album that has this really power and urgency that Stormbringer doesn't quite have. And it's understandable. I mean, they made an album the next year, right after this album. They just boom, they went right back in and did another album. And I think that they had, like we talked about, they had something to prove on this album. So they really came out swinging, and I just think that it's just this intensity that I love on Burn. That's but like you said, that's not to say that Stormbringer is not good, because it is. I do enjoy Stormbringer as well, and it's just I mean you can't lose with that lineup, right? They're going to put out something good, and I think that it's interesting that those albums are back to back, and they really came out in pretty quick succession, and they're both pretty damn strong. But like you said, I would say that it goes a little further in the R&B direction with Stormbringer, that some fans, including myself, were like, "Meh, some of these songs I'm kind of about. I'd rather hear them doing the heavy rock that that Burn has most on. It seems like Burn has a lot of that on it. So that's where I
Yeah,
go. Yeah. So,
we're
but
on
but
the
don't
same
but don't
page.
sleep on Stormbringer. Do not sleep on Stormbringer.
No, no, and if you can, try to find the double pack, the double feature edition, where you get both CDs in one. Well, they're both in my CD player right now, so it's going to be
Yeah,
empty.
there you go. See, there you go. You were preparing for the episode.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I've been digging it for sure, and as of the time we're filming this, it is Thursday. I do a radio show every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Deep Nuggets Radio, and I have a couple of songs. Of course, I don't know when we're going to be posting this. Maybe in the next few days, but
Next couple days, yeah,
next couple days. Well, Deep Purple is always a heavy feature in my show, so you can tune in anytime and hear great music. And
yep,
but tonight in specific, sorry, I'm kind of giving it away, even though this comes out after, right?
right, right,
but I
right.
but listening to Burn has definitely affected the set list for tonight.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So we're blaming you, Tom.
That's right. I'm to blame, and I'll take that blame. I'll take it on.
Love
Uh,
it, man.
yeah. Well, this has been really fun. Thanks again, Cody, for joining me today. Um,
Anytime, brother.
been great. It's been great. And I love, man, I love that you're just really hitting it on a lot of cylinders, man. You got the radio show, you got a YouTube channel, you've got a record store. You are like, music is your thing, man. Music is life.
It is my whole life. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. And I do have actually two, for the people that are sort of more prog based. I have two radio shows, because so Thursdays at noon Eastern, I do a show over on Prog Radio.
Hmm.
And so
Oh,
Thursday
okay.
nights I do Deep Nuggets radio, and Thursday afternoons I do prog radio. So it's yeah, it's a lot of fun. And Tom, I really appreciate you, and I love what you do here on Curless Mania. It's a lot of fun. I can tell that you're super passionate about the music, just like me, and obviously you're super into it. You have great guests. You had Eric Porter on here before.
Yeah.
That's killer. You know, to get anyone from Sea of Tranquility, that's big deal, man. So
Yeah, it
great,
was
good,
cool.
good for you, man. And I personally wish you the best with your YouTube endeavors, and I hope to come back and join you sometime soon.
Oh, you are always welcome, Cody. Absolutely, no question. And I'll probably be seeing you on the prog corner at some point too. I don't know if are you going to be there on Sunday? Are you doing
Yeah,
Sundays? Yeah, so I'll see you at Sunday.
yeah,
So
man.
yeah, it'll be fun. But yeah, so that's a wrap. That's about. I don't think we have anything more to say. We've done the albums and we've done tangents. So I don't know what else you want from us, but
Long live Blackmore.
yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Blackmore's Night. No, no, we won't do that. So anyway, so thanks again if you stayed with us this long. We really appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Maybe learned a little bit more about Purple something you didn't know before, maybe, possibly. And please, if you like this, if please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. So thank you so much. And we will see you again next time on Curless Mania. See ya.